Football Podcast, joined as always by I don't even know how to describe you tonight, Clinton, a child assaulted Clinton Boring. I am Ryan Satkowiak. Things were a little dicey for in the Boring household this evening, but we made it. We are here, and we've already solved one tech support issue. We are pleased to be joined this evening by Redcast Rob as we talk to Nebraska Cornhuskers heading into this 2024 season as we reach the home stretch of our fall preview series. First and foremost, Rob, we really appreciate you making some time for us this evening, sir. How are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I appreciate you guys having me on. I know that it's kind of been a long time planning here, and it's just personal life, things like that going on. And this was finally, I'd like to say that it's slowing down. That would be a lie, especially with only a few weeks now before the season. And then, I have an actual real job in life too. And then school starts next week, and I could go on and on and on. So I really appreciate you guys having me on, though. I'm excited to talk some Husker football.
Oh, buddy, I get that one for sure. I worked 7 to 7 today. Got up early to work out, so I'm running on fumes right now. Fumes and adrenaline. Clinton, what are you running on right now?
I'm running on a Waterloo seltzer water. I'm doing pretty good. Bedtime was a bit of a shenanigan to start. My 4-year-old was not thrilled that Daddy was going to put him to bed, but we got that worked out. They're both asleep now. I also, busy day today, up early to lift. Got to lift before work, get it in, so I don't have any excuses. But I have been looking forward to talking Nebraska since we contacted you, Rob. When you sent back, you brought the juice in your response. Got me really excited. We love it. I have a saying, if you're juiceless, you're useless. So,
wait, what did you guys hit today at the gym? That's what I want to know, because I did legs today.
Ooh. I was also legs.
Yeah.
This is actually, I don't think he listens to the podcast because he has a life and responsibilities, but one of our athletic trainers, he's also a strength and conditioning specialist, and he's doing this 12-week program, and he's like, you want to do this with me? I'm like, hell yeah, that sounds like fun. So it's just a zone 2 cardio day for me, and he is a diabolical asshole and put burpees and squat jumps into it today. So we were feeling pretty good and pretty sweaty this morning at about 6:15 at the Ann Arbor Ice Cube. It was good times. Nice. No, I'm jacked for this episode tonight. I don't know what it makes me that I'm a sucker for the helmet schools. I love it when those good blue bloods are good, and it has been far too long since Nebraska has been good. We're talking live on YouTube tonight. If y'all are joining us, thank you for stopping in. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel at ITPCFB. That is the same handle. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram as well. Or if you're one of those morning peeps and you want to catch us in your podcast feed in the morning, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your shows. We are at Inside the Pylon there. So, Rob, before we dig into the football tonight, just I want to give you the floor for a minute here, just kind of talk about your background and your time around this Nebraska program.
All right. So grew up in Northern California. My grandfather's from Gothenburg, Nebraska. So usually, and again, I'm a little older than I look. So, in the 80s and the 90s, holidays, things like that, it was always Nebraska. Obviously, Jim Rome was a closet Nebraska fan. So he was always talking about them during their championship years there from the 92 through, 97. And so I grew up I moved out to Colorado, met some people that were actually from Nebraska, started hanging out with them. That was Dave on the Redcast. He introduced me to all his friends. And then it got pretty hardcore from there. And, growing up in California, I always have so many teams I can root for that were local, so many games I could go to. But as the years go on here and as time has gone by, I have picked the absolute worst time to be a Husker fan. I'm just kidding. I've always been a Husker fan, but to get this hardcore into it, as a part of the Go Big Redcast, that's the podcast that I'm a part of. We have not had a winning season in any of our seasons as doing a podcast. And we can get into that later as this being the season that will change. But yeah. So that's kind of my background as far as Husker fandom goes. I do live out here in Colorado, northern Colorado to be exact.
Nice.
But, I actually now work for a Nebraska-based company, and I travel out to Lincoln. I try to get out there at least 3 or 4 times a year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I get it. My dad was born in South Bend. I had no choice in my fandom. I was born in 91. I haven't seen diddly shit in my lifetime.
You were born in 91?
Was born in 91.
Okay, then.
I was in 92.
I'm pretty sure my dad still blames me for the fall of Notre Dame football.
Well, I would graduate high school in 92.
Nice.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
So, yeah, that's
Well, I will say, I'm the resident Ohio State fan on the show, so I've seen college football success.
Yeah.
I am a Bengals.
Well, I've seen.
No,
that's
I was
the
gonna
thing is,
say.
I am old enough. I actually have seen success from the Huskers.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
all right, I've actually seen success from every team I root for at some point in my life, even the Oakland A's, and that's saying
There you
something.
go.
Right there.
Barry Zito days, man. Barry Zito, Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well,
You've had the talent.
You just talked about two totally different generation of successful A's teams. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
You
I used to be a little more on top of baseball, but I've been a Bengals fan my entire life. And I rode the Palmer and Andy Dalton days where we'd make the playoffs and get crushed. And I would just got to the point I'd rather him just stay home. And now Joe Burrow, the savior from Athens, Ohio, if we can keep him healthy, I actually have tasted success. I was at their first playoff win in 31 years when they beat the Raiders. So that was probably the coolest
you know what, dude? I don't really
had.
appreciate that because I'm a Raiders fan. So,
Well,
but
my brother-in-law. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, fun fact. There, a good friend of mine from Northern California, a guy by the name of Ryan Benjamin, played at University of Pacific, which is no longer in existence. Probably after Nebraska beat the living crap out of them, like back in the '90s at one point. They were called UOP. Anyway, he played. He was a like a late round draft pick, I think, or something of the Bengals back in the day. He played. He played special teams for them, but yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So I've known him.
My
for a while.
brother-in-law was he's a Raiders fan, and he was at that game with me. I took him there because I was like, when are you going to get to see, being in Ohio, Raiders in a playoff game? And one of us is going to leave happy. So thankfully it was me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. But I'll tell you what, every
game,
Raiders fan in there was great, man. They were super nice. Even they were pissed that they lost, but they were like, if it had to be somebody, I'm glad it's you guys.
Yeah.
Like,
Did you know Joe Burrow wanted to go to Nebraska and Scott Frost didn't bring him in?
I do.
Sorry,
I feel like I heard that story.
Oh, yeah. It's an ongoing joke on Husker Twitter because like people like to bring it up constantly. Like, oh yeah, he could have gone to Nebraska, etc. But you know what? Anyway, yeah. So that's kind of the ongoing. So I root for Joe Burrow. I like him. I do think that he looks a lot like that dude from
Home
Alone actor, the comedian. No.
Oh, okay.
Now all of a sudden I can't even think of the name of the guy. But I'll remember it and it'll be random and I'll yell it out. So
that's perfect.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking. We're going to be talking about the defense, and it's just going to be I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
That's how it goes with me. So,
but yeah, before we get into the defense, we want to go a little bit big picture here for question number one.
Okay, great.
Matt Rhule, just in college, we're just going to ignore the time with the Carolina Panthers here because that's irrelevant to this conversation. Just the year over year improvement is always pretty vast. So going into year two in the Matt Rhule era here, particularly with how last season ended in November, I mean, we're not talking about a team that's getting its doors blown off. I mean, we're talking about one score loss. What kind of improvement can we expect for Nebraska in 2024? It seems like there's, I want to stop short of saying preseason darling. We're not talking about playoff contender Nebraska here yet. We're going to put the brakes on that a little bit, but we're talking about a schedule, man, that sets up really favorably for the Huskers here.
Okay. So I'm glad that you asked that question too. And you did bring up the one score losses, and it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Nebraska has 31 score losses in the last 6 years. That's and 3 of those times they lost 13-10 final score. Let's see. There was also, I've got all kinds of cool notes here for you guys. They actually had, I think, 4 games last year where they could have had a game-winning drive and either turned it over. Their turnover margin last year was absolutely abysmal. They had 31 turnovers and they were a -17 margin, the worst in Power 5 last year. And so when you talk about Matt Rhule going into his second year, obviously he was 5-7. We were 5-7. I'll say it last year, 5-3 at one point, leading the Big Ten West, tied for first, I should say, in the Big Ten West, and then ended up just losing all 4 games at the end of the season, and going into a depressing year, but 5-7. Rhule historically during his college coaching career always has a better second year. We flipped Dylan Raiola, who is the #1 quarterback recruit from Georgia. He's now out there. For those of us that attended the spring game, 60,000 of us out there watching, he was 73% completion rate, throwing passes to every spot on the field. Even the ones that he missed were to places where had the receiver gotten there, they would have been the only one who could have caught it. And we haven't seen that kind of accuracy out of a Nebraska quarterback in a really long time. And he just looked so comfortable in the pocket. He knew when to tuck it and run. So, going into this year, I definitely look to see improvement. We can get more into that if you want to start, talking about the numbers, if you want to start talking about, hype, things like that. This team coming back is, oh God, so many good things. 77% of production coming back this year for a team total. Third most in the FBS. There's only 2 teams ahead of them. Top 10 defensive side of the ball. I think only Utah and Iowa State are the only teams that are higher. And based on some of the models that people are putting out there, this type of return of production is good for over 6 points a game. Nebraska has their motto this year, chasing 3. So we're looking at hopefully doubling that number in 3. This year, 5 of the first 6 games we have are at home. So it sets up very, very nicely. We finally have a non-Power 4, was Power 5, Power 4 opponent now to open the season, a non-Power 4 opponent to open the season for the first time since 2019, I think, is the year. It's actually last year, I think we were the only team in a while. We started back-to-back road games against Power 5 teams. So, our schedule setting up really nicely for us this year. I think that the first 7 games of the season should really tell you who we are as a team going into week 8 against Ohio State.
Yeah. So. And you quickly alluded there to essentially number 2 on our questions here with Dylan Raiola. Again, being here in Columbus, followed that recruitment pretty closely because he started out with the Buckeyes. He went to Georgia. Now he's flipped to Nebraska and he's there. He's went to 3 different high schools as he switched through that. Should we believe the hype? I mean, you just talked about the spring game. Should we believe the hype in him and why? And then is there any percent chance that he is not the starter come week 1?
I would say it's a 95% chance that he's the starter in week 1. I really can't think of anyone else on that team that really would take that spot at this point. There are 3 other guys on the team I think that we could call capable of maybe that particular position, but I don't think any of them are as good or as talented. And you don't recruit a 5-star kid to come to the school. I'm sure they're paying him a boatload of NIL money to be there. His dad is a legacy. His name is literally on the stadium there, the stadium walls in Lincoln. So, everything about him, the hype is just, unreal. People are going to say what they want to, and all of us, I would like to just say, put up or shut up at this point, because it is I'm tired of talking about it. I just want to see some football. But I do think it's real watching him on the field during that time. And then also, they just had that open practice this weekend where they were using the money, the fees to get in. They were using that towards the NIL program as well, right? And he was out there and apparently, living up to the hype again. So, I guess they call me the Kool-Aid drinker of the Go Big Redcast. I actually have an award back here behind me. You might be able to see it kind of back there. It's actually the Kool-Aid Podcast Award. I can grab it for you. Yeah, so I did. It's
Let's go.
first annual Nebraska Podcast Awards, and I was the Kool-Aid Aholics Anonymous. So, yes, I am an award-winning podcaster. We can say that. But when it comes to the quarterback position too, obviously Raiola is more than likely going to be the starter. A lot of people don't realize too is that we did bring in Jalen Gramstat too, who is from Leicester, Iowa, I should say, but he went to Northwestern College in a NAIA school, back-to-back national championship games, won last year. I like to make the joke and say, when was the last time a quarterback won a national championship with an NAIA and then the next year won it in, the FCS? This could be our year. Yeah, but and he's looking pretty good out there based off of what a lot of people are saying. Obviously, we have Heinrich Haarberg coming back. He won 5 games for us last year. There's no getting around that, right? I mean, it's like in golf. I always like to say it's not how, it's how many, right? And that's the case. Again, turnovers, throwing the ball were a big problem for him. But I also am looking forward to see how you can't leave a kid like that with that much talent, speed, everything. Knowledge of the offense on the sideline too long. So we might see some like 2 quarterback sets maybe with some Wildcat. I don't know how that's going to work, but I'm guessing a lot of people are going to tell me I'm full of it, but we're going to have to use him. He can't just sit on the side. He's a big, strong kid, and he can run over some defensive linemen and he can outrun a lot of people on that field. So it'll be nice to see how they do use that. And obviously then we've got another Elite 11 quarterback as a freshman there, Daniel Kalen, who is also from Nebraska, who stayed even after we recruited Raiola back, out of Georgia. So nice. One of the things, I guess, I don't know if you guys have another, I know you guys wanted to get into some other depth questions, but that's the thing about Rhule right now is that the amount of depth that he's producing on this roster over time here is pretty incredible. There are a couple positions I would say we could use a little bit more depth at, but one of our offensive linemen just went out, and I'm looking at the roster. There's 23 guys on the offensive line that could fill in. We've got a couple of big time freshmen that are coming in this year that I know I've talked to a couple of them want to play. I mean, these are 18-year-old men. I mean, I have to say a couple of them 6'4", 6'5", 300 and something pounds. Bricks and Davidson. Bricks is Nelson. I can't remember where he's from, but Davidson's right here out of Broomfield, Colorado. And there's so there's a lot of good potential and room for development going on in this program while we are still bringing back a lot of talent. So,
well, and that's a good little segue into the next question, the question 3 about the offense and that supporting cast that's going to be around, whether it's Raiola or someone else. And I think too, I mean, like we all know the promise of a five-star quarterback, right? Like I think that the sports fans' favorite thing is the mystery box, the young recruit, because we see the guy who's playing right now and this guy sucks. The guy behind him's got to be better because he can't be any worse. And
backup quarterback is the best job in the world.
Yeah. Whenever you look at the mystery box, it's never bad. It's always good because it's always filled with hope. But a lot of times with some of these quarterbacks too, right? They're not Dylan Raiola with his NFL pedigree and the coaching that he's had throughout his life. And he is a man. Like, where is he? 6'3", 220, I think he's listed at. Yeah. He's not a guy who's coming in where he's, little tiny stick figure who's never had any sort of strength and conditioning or his high school strength and conditioning program.
He's literally trained with pro trainers. And I'm sure some of the recent hype around that too, with him, the whole Patrick Mahomes thing. But, can you imagine like getting to train and develop with your hero? Like he's been training with Patrick Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes trainer out there on the field. So it's like, make fun of him all you want, but like if I was his dad, which I'm not actually old enough to be, I would be super, super proud of him for the work he's putting in and how much he is trying to live up to the hype. He's come on campus. He's been a great representative of not just the team, but for the state of Nebraska and for Matt Rhule. And, he's bringing in all these big time recruits recruits where, I mean, that we would have never had a chance at, you know, in the last 15 years or whatever it's been. And now we've got these guys coming in where it's like his last two, you know, Sanders, you know, the offensive lineman for next year. Like the last two schools he's looking at reportedly now are Tennessee and Nebraska. Like what? So, I mean, you know, it's like looking at things like that. Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
And some of the guys that'll be on that supporting cast this year, very veteran offensive line. You know, Emmett Johnson, you know, comes on late in the year, and he's going to be a big piece at running back. Bringing in Jamal Banks and Isaiah Nair from the transfer portal at wide receiver. Who are some names to know at those skill positions that are going to be big kind of breakthrough guys for the Huskers this year?
That's a good question. Emmett Johnson, like you said, he is the real deal. He's going to be out there, and even that, hopefully Ramir Johnson and Irvin are able to stay healthy, because that would be a great 1-2-3 punch out there. Obviously, we're going to need guys. Dowdell, it's a work in progress. From the wide receiver position, that might be going from one of our least deep positions. If you remember, we were starting 2 true freshmen at one point last year because of how many injuries we have. Now we've got Banks, Nayor, and Lloyd are probably going to be the starters. That's our guess. You know, we've got Bullock has an experienced possession receiver that we've got coming in. And then you can't forget guys like Malachi Coleman, who not only has the size, I think he's like 6'5", 220 pounds or something now. I mean, if you saw this kid, the way that he's developed and working hard, plus, I mean, we could go into that kid's heart forever. Sorry, I'm a big Malachi fan, so don't get me started. I was trying to decide if I should wear the Malachi Fly Like Kai t-shirt, which is his foundation that he has. You know, obviously, and then we've got ourselves the tight end position, right? I mean, we're talking Fedoni, and we've got Borkacher, you know, out there. And Borkacher is becoming better and better as a possession tight end. Also great at blocking. Fedoni is just the real deal. I expect to see that guy playing on Sundays someday. And he may as well, you can put him down. I think he might end up being our biggest receiver of the year as far as, you know, number of touches on the ball, because, you know, he's definitely going to have to be a safety net for Raiola in there.
See, Fedoni's got me pretty excited because I've just checked out the Solid Verbal and Until Saturday's Big Ten previews today, and I believe both of them mentioned Fedoni and healthy now and going to be a big part of this offense. So
yeah, and that poor kid, man, his first 2 years, knee injuries, back-to-back knee injuries. You don't see a lot of people come back from that. Not only that, but he was our leading receiver last year. He had 4 touchdowns with really no real like throwing quarterback threat to be seen, right? So this is going to be pretty exciting if we can make it work the way it is. I mean, because he's got the NFL tight end prototype, body, makeup, everything about him, work ethic, all that. So it'll be pretty exciting to see what he can do over there, especially over some of those middle routes. Looking forward to it.
As far as just scheme this year, anything with what we expect to be an improved passing attack, anything different you expect to see? I think something that was impressive to me for the Huskers last year was how well they ran the ball despite not having much of a threat in the passing game. Still a top 40 rushing outfit last year, despite the quarterback play being essentially a non-threat.
Well, and that's one of the things too, is that one of our oldest units is actually our offensive line. So even with Corcoran, was it Corcoran who went out? Now I'm like getting them all. I think it was Corcoran who just went out with a knee injury again. I think. God, all of a sudden now I'm reversing him and Prohaska. And no, it's Prohaska, I think, just went out with a knee injury. Corcoran's going to be taking over for him. But, you know, there's always been a lot of injuries on that. That's actually one of the deepest areas as far as positions go. There's 23 guys on the roster. Well, 22 now. And I think that we're looking at it, like I said, going to be some good blocking up front. I'm a little bit, as far as the offense goes and the overall offense itself, oh man, I had some good numbers for you guys here. And of course I clicked right off of them, but, you know, we're looking at scoring offense. We were one of the worst in football last year. We were like 123rd in scoring offense last year. We were 177 yards per game, which was good for 39th. I mean, we nowhere anywhere like while we want to say that our offense, looked good in some areas, there was also a lot of things that we got to improve on this year. I think we will see improvement in all that, and that's going to be because hopefully less turnovers. I'd like to see us positive in the turnover side of things for the first time in so long that I think I didn't even have my second daughter. She's 5 now. And then obviously the quarterback play, and that's going to just change, I think, everything.
And now we kind of take a peek.
That was an awkward silence. Was there something else you guys were looking for there?
No, I thought I was waiting for Clinton to go, and I think Clinton was waiting for me to go.
We now kind of flip to typically my favorite side of the ball, the defense.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've seen anything, that I tend to do most of our tweets on Twitter or X, whatever the hell we want to call it these days. But I'm always about the trenches, because I really think if you control the trenches, you can win, and win big. Look at Michigan last year, regardless of whatever the speculation is now, cheated, not cheated. They have great trench play, so they won. Nebraska last year finished 11th nationally and 5th in the Big Ten in total defense for obviously 2023. They now return 3 of their 4 top tacklers, and then they bring back 9 of 13 defenders who played more than 300 snaps per PFF.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the expectation for this defense coming forward in 2024, and where can they improve?
Well, one of the areas, I'll start with where they can improve, because so many praises for this defense. I am a little bit questioning the linebacker position. I think a lot of us are from the Nebraska, fandom side of things. But one of the things about a Tony White defense is that he moves so many guys around and has so many things in motion constantly that it makes it really hard to even define positions at some points, right? Because he has so many different guys and he's blitzing from so many different angles. Defensive backs making sacks, things like that. It's almost like an NFL defense where you have to kind of, hide what it is that you're actually doing in a lot of ways. So we were really excited about the defense last year, and you're right. I mean, we were the number 13th overall scoring defense in football. They were, just so many, when you look at the offense, they were the polar opposite of it, right? A lot of teams only completed 59.5% of their passes, which was good for 49th. As far as explosive rush goes, we were something like we were 4th rank or something like that in the entire country. I got to give a shout out to Brett Cianci over at Pick 6 Previews, because he provided me with a copy of stuff. A lot of these stats that I'm reading are coming from his research, so I just want to make sure that he does that. Heisman voter was on our show last week, so. And a lot of other things that to look at for this defense. With the defensive line, we got Ty Robinson, we got Nash Hutmacher coming back, and there's a lot of other guys that we're looking, hopefully to be contributing on that side of the ball, because it's a 3-3-5 defense, and they just swarm everywhere, and we'll see how they face up against teams with like West Coast offenses. I want to call them like USC, UCLA. Those guys are on our schedule this year, right? So we're going to have to really figure that out, because they don't have the great defenses, but their offenses are going to look good. And I'll even give credit where credit's due. Colorado's quarterback is pretty decent, and they've got a pretty good wide receiver out there. And so it'll be interesting to see as a team, one, if we can hold on to the ball and actually have our offense on the field for more than 3-4 plays, or not fumble the ball, a bunch. I think our defense will be well rested and just coming after quarterbacks all year long.
You mentioned Colorado. Please, 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 Nebraska, bury them, please. I just want it so much. I want Nebraska to win that game.
Well, so do I. Yeah, I have to say it, especially living in Colorado. And I can't emphasize this enough. Living here, I never realized it till I moved here. But in the state of Colorado, I would say there are as many Raider fans as Bronco fans, and there are more Nebraska fans than CU fans. Wow. And I will stand by that assessment. The Bronco fan, a lot of Bronco fans that claim to be Bronco fans are not the hardcore fans. There are a lot of hardcore fans here. Don't, please, if any of you are listening, there are a ton of hardcore fans here. But the thing about Colorado is it kind of is a commuter state, right? There's a lot of people here that are not from here. And so there's a lot of different, I mean, you can go to downtown Denver and literally find a bar on any Saturday or Sunday that represents whatever college or NFL team that you are rooting for. And it will be packed. It will be packed. And, you know, but then all of a sudden, like, people will like drop off their Browns jersey and throw on a Broncos jersey and go to the game because the Browns play in the morning and then the Broncos play it in the afternoon or a night game on Monday night. So you do see a lot of that out here. And, you know, I hate CU. And it's not even so much the team as it is their fans are so obnoxious. Like, you know, yeah.
I've been working hard to interact with Nebraska fans, obviously, you know, trying to grow our name. And every once in a while, here's the CU fan who pops in here like, F Nebraska, or you guys suck, or haha, Raiola won't do this. I'm like, just please, dear God, beat them by 3 or more touchdowns this year. Please. I want to see it.
They're like an annoying, you know this, you have a 4-year-old. They're like an annoying 4-year-old where you're trying to have a normal conversation with somebody and you're just like chatting away, and all of a sudden they walk in and punch you in the nuts and run away thinking it's
Yep.
You know,
our favorite thing is we're trying to have an adult conversation, and he'll just keep raising his voice and be like, Mommy and Daddy, stop talking. I'm trying to talk. I'm like, what? Excuse me, little man?
Oh, boy.
Yeah. My daughter likes to run by me and nut check me.
Oh, gosh.
So, yeah.
I've not made it to that yet. I hope I don't do that.
Yeah, well, I'm not having any more children. I can tell you that much. So.
Inside the pylon, come for the football talk, stay for the free birth control.
That's right. Yes.
So
I hope I'm giving you guys good, valuable information. I can't see your comments. I can't see anything. They can be making fun of me off to the side, whatever. And I have a tendency to ramble on. So
same, man. Same, brother. Those are the best kind of podcasts. I like this. Absolutely. I like this a lot.
That's great.
I want to get into the schedule discussion, man. Are they going to start 7-0 this year? Like, am I crazy thinking that it's a possibility?
I love you. Here, as I tell you, I am the official Nebraska Podcast Award.
Bring it on down. Down.
Yeah, I am. I honestly, you know, you go on those polls and everything, and I hate to say it, with or without Kool-Aid, like, I think there is a possibility, but let's be honest. You got to win the first one. You got to win the second one. You got to win the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, one game at a time. You know what I mean? Like, we have been so heartbroken, had our hopes and dreams killed. I mean, last year we were 5-3, one game away from a bowl. That's all we wanted was a bowl last year, and we lost the last 4 games. 2 of them were. Sorry, my head's starting to hurt.
If I was a Nebraska fan during that Iowa game, I think that would have been the one that broke me.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think it was the Maryland game that broke me, to be honest with you, because Iowa was like, well, shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I mean, you know, Wisconsin 17-24, Maryland 10-13, Michigan State lost 17-20. All right. So don't talk to me about Iowa when, you know, we're looking at 1-6. We're looking at basically 13 points separating us from a bowl game before we ever got to that Iowa game. Because if we had won one of those, I think we would have beat Iowa. But they're, you know what I mean? But this team, they're still learning how to win, and unfortunately losing in the process. And I think this year is going to be a little bit different. I think they've taken a completely different mindset. I know they have people on campus that are working with these kids from a mental standpoint. I will say this: there not another school in the entire country that puts more effort and more money and more time and effort into their student athletes than Nebraska. If you ever get a chance to be on campus out there, this new Go Big project they have, the locker rooms they put in there, the facilities they give for these students. We were the first school with a training table providing meals for our students. We're probably got the best training table in the country now with this new facility. They bring in great chefs. They allow the kids to cook for themselves. There's whole kitchens there. There's nutritionists just sitting in their offices right there. The kids can walk in, get a meal plan. This is what you should be eating this week doing this. The weight facilities are world class. I'm guarantee you there's at least 5 or 6 NFL teams that don't have the training facilities that the Huskers have. So, I mean, it is absolutely just phenomenal what this team and what the state of Nebraska and the fans and everything put into this team. And I mean, I personally, it's like, I'm not from Nebraska. So it's like, I see what my friends feel, the ones that are from there, where Nebraska is the team. You know, that's who they root for, right? We've become a volleyball school, for Christ's sake. And it's like, you know, these guys, all they want to see is Nebraska win. And all I want for all of them is to see Nebraska win. And all I want for myself is to see Nebraska win, right? And I think that it's going to be a beautiful thing when Raiola and Rhule both just turn this program around, you know, and I think it's going to be something that the rest of the country is going to hate. And you'll never ask me back on the show again, because I'm going to be so freaking obnoxious when that happens. You know what I mean? Like, especially if they go 7-0 to start the season. Oh my God, you guys will block me on Twitter.
No. I think we might have to bring you right back on before they play that matchup in Columbus.
You know what? I would be more than happy.
Oh my God.
I would be more than happy to do that. I mean, I fully expect to lose that game. I'm not going to lie. But I am also the kind of fan, and I've said this before, and if any of Redcasters are out there listening right now, and they may be, the fact of the matter is that I believe Nebraska can win every game until they don't. You know, and what was it, just 2 years ago where we took Ohio State? Well, I can't remember how many years ago we took Ohio State down to like literally, like, you know, right there. And then even with that whole Michigan, the whole fumble that shouldn't have been called a fumble with Martinez, right? Like, where we should have beat them. He was running for the first down, got the first down. They started pushing him backwards. They should have blown the whistle, didn't. He fumbled the ball, and then they called it a fumble. You know, it's just, that's our luck. You know what I mean? And it just sucks, and it's got to turn, right? I mean, the odds are in our favor, you know, not to quote Hunger Games or anything, but yeah. It's been hard. I can you feel the heartbreak in my voice as I try to reach for hope. I mean,
yeah. Listen, if they're 7-0 going into Columbus, I will just sit here and mute my mic and let you and Clinton yell at each other for 45 minutes on the Tuesday leading it up to that game.
You know,
I'm down.
I got no problem doing that.
I would even have you. I would even have you on the Go Big Redcast to do that. You know what I mean? It's there's nothing wrong. We've had some people on before from other schools, other things. You know, we generally try to keep it all Huskers all the time. But I've done a couple of these. I was on a podcast not too long ago with like a Virginia fan. I was like, what is
nice?
No way. Like, you know, they had me on their podcast, and that was actually a lot of fun. But yeah, it's and the whole Notre Dame thing is, I don't know. I know this is a Husker one, but like, it kind of bothers me. Join a conference already. Christ. You know what I mean? Like, my God, you guys are not, you know,
never doing it.
Yeah.
We're just going to hang out in the corner and let everyone play us. It's all good.
Yeah, well, it'll be cool when you guys go out there and you're undefeated and you're the 8th seed in the playoffs.
No, listen. Okay. So no. So here's my hot take. No. So here's my hot take. I would rather be the 5 seed than play a conference championship game, and here's why. So if you play a conference championship game and you lose a conference championship game, that you don't get a bye at all. That's just an extra game you got to play. If you're Notre Dame, you're 12-0, and you got to play the 12 seed. 9 times out of 10, that's going to be dog shit group of 5 program.
This is why you guys haven't won a championship in so long.
I know. Okay. No, it's because I was born. It's literally my existence. It is literally my existence. That's not true, though.
That's not true. You guys had what's his name with the fake girlfriend, and you guys made it to the champ. Yeah, you guys made it to the championship game. I mean, you got the doors blown off you. That was I was embarrassed for that one, but I
won $700 at the craps table that night.
Okay,
because I was anger rolling.
Okay,
so it was a good time.
Okay, that's good. Anger rolling for me in college been a whole different thing, and
no, man. If you're the 5 seed, you're going to play the group of 5 team at home. You should win that game every single time, and if you don't, you didn't deserve a first round bye anyway. Then you get to play the 4 seed, which is usually going to be the Big 12 team, which, no disrespect to the Big 12. Who in that conference are you afraid of? And we're all silent.
I'm not. I was silent on purpose. Clinton, thank you so much for doing that with me. That felt like really like we did not choreograph that. We just both of us just sat there.
That was the perfect silence.
Iowa State,
maybe I don't know.
You know what though? Kansas State is actually freaky. Like when I say freaky good, I don't mean like wow, watch out for those guys. But I mean, remember last year they took Alabama like to the brink, right, in their bowl game, and then I mean, well, at least the first half. They had them in the first half. Let me tell you,
they don't not going.
Was that a couple years ago? I don't know, dude. Ever since COVID, time is a flat circle. Like,
I can't remember anything.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at Brett's like notes here about Kansas State. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but they're like as far as like overall recruiting and production and like development things like that, they're like one of the best schools in the country doing it, right? Like, their recruiting classes are always in like the low 60s or something, and yet there's somehow always 7, 8, 9 wins. Like, what the hell?
Good coach. I mean, Arizona's spunky, but they got a new coach.
I like Arizona a lot, by the way. Quick background is that my sister went to U of A. I got accepted to U of A out of high school, but they didn't have a soccer program, so I went to a D2 school instead. And I've always rooted for, I mean, since like 1985 or 86, I've rooted for Arizona basketball. It's a well-known like thing among fans with Husker fans and me. But their football team is one that I always pay attention to. And low key, I actually really liked the Pac-12. I always felt like they got so much disrespect because nobody on the East Coast could stay up late enough to watch the games, Right. But Arizona is a team this year too that I would say that I might be they're going to be a playoff team. I think that's my prediction.
I'd agree with that.
Right.
I don't think that's bold at all.
Yeah, they've got a lot of returning production on that team that I think a lot of people, I don't want to say they'll surprise people, but I think being in the Big 12, they will open a lot of eyes.
I agree.
How's that?
And anyway,
I just turned this into an Arizona podcast.
Yeah, right. No, we have gone so far off the rails here from what we started with. But
wait, what did we come here to talk about in the first? Well, yeah, right. I think I answered all of your questions.
You definitely did, and then it's just it's perfect. No, and the last thing I'll say about Notre Dame though is I don't know if they'll eventually join the Big Ten. I wish that they would because the ACC schedule does nothing for me. I feel nothing for Syracuse. Sorry, Jacob, if you're listening. I feel nothing for Wake Forest.
Still a conference.
It's just like it's cool when they get Clemson or Florida State when they're good. Those are fun games. But like, I'd rather play Michigan State and Purdue and Michigan. Like the fact that the Michigan game isn't happening every year, it's sad because I miss the hatred. It's like I don't hate Virginia. I don't hate Virginia Tech. I don't care about you. It's not that you're bad. I mean, you're not great this year. It's just like I want to feel something. And I feel something for those Midwest schools. Yeah. That's all. I just want to feel alive.
That's okay.
I'm just searching for something to help me feel alive.
Well,
Ryan, we had one quick not quick, but we had an additional question that I didn't send you. And it's from our most recent guy last week. I said Ryan. Rob.
You meant to say Rob.
It's from our guy, Ryan Herrings of Locked On Badgers. We were talking about how we were going to have who we're going to have on next week. And he goes, do me a favor. Ask him who his favorite Wisconsin running back is. So who's your favorite Wisconsin running back? Just to deliver the question. I don't know. Am I missing what the point of this is? Or
yeah, and he's still running. I'm not. No, I'm not answering that question for you.
I am going to clip this though, because that way I can tag you and Ryan in this.
Tag a minute,
so that way he can see it.
Yeah.
All you got to do is tag the Hardy side. I think that's the exact answer that he was looking for.
I don't want to talk about it. I just don't think it's funny. And yeah. Anyway, and next question.
I know Clinton's got a fun one, but let's wrap up with one more football question. The Vegas over under win total on the Huskers this year, 7.5, and the slight favorite there being the over. So for Nebraska to go 8-4 or better this year, Rob, what has to go right for the Huskers?
Turnover margin. I think that is literally turnover margin, and special teams. Our kicking needs to be better. We had a freshman kicker last year. He's actually injured right now. We got a couple guys, coming in. We got this one freshman from New Jersey. I just like saying his name, Nico Ottamanelli. It's a fun name to say.
Just rolls off the tongue.
It does, yeah. So, anyway, So those are the two things, though. I think that having a positive turnover margin and even if we're even 50-50, I mean, Christ, I think Rhule said something like if we can keep it from like 20 turnovers, 40 sacks, I think something like that, 20 turnovers, 40 sacks on the defensive side, keep a positive turnover margin and special teams. And if those things come together, because it's amazing when, we'll be chasing 3. To stick to the Husker motto this year. That's what we're doing. We're chasing 3. And if we just stick to the metrics and get that 6.4 extra points per game, we're going to see some wins.
It feels like a team that just like I get regression to the mean is not the correct word because we're not regressing. If we're progressing to the mean from a turnover standpoint, literally just not having bad turnover luck, it just seems like that's going to be at least 2 games there.
Well, yeah. I mean, it would be probably of those 31 score losses, I would say we probably would have won 30 of them. That's like that's literally turnovers on every single one of those were the cause of it. And I know because I've watched every single one of them.
It is ingrained
I don't
in this man's brain. It's ingrained in this man's prefrontal cortex.
I'm like, they're like, people will talk about, oh, we're rent free in your head, or oh, we do this rent free, whatever it is you kids say these days. The only thing that lives rent free in my head is 1 score loss. Like, seriously, I will block your ass on Twitter. Score loss to me. Like, I just don't have time for that. That or Melvin Gordon, buddy. All right, I don't have time for that.
Well, let's spin this to a positive note. A fun question.
For the record, Clinton, in case you don't know, this was the 2014 game, which was the Big Ten championship game. Nebraska had beaten Wisconsin earlier in the year. Melvin Gordon rushed for 408 yards. They won.
Yes, I remember that game.
They won 59-24. Yeah, you were like 8.
8. Oh my God! Wait, when was this? 2014?
Yeah, you were.
I was 22.
Yeah,
I was 22.
Yeah. So yeah. But if you remember that game, you weren't drinking hard enough, buddy. All right. Yeah.
Well, see, my problem was I was too pissed off that Ohio State wasn't in it, so I was probably mildly less entertained by that.
People. That's the other thing too. Let's just get rid of that myth too. And it hasn't been like. Yes, it's been like 6 years or so that Nebraska's been bad. But during the Pelini years, they were one of the most winningest programs, and they were like the 5th winningest program in college football during Pelini years with 9-10 wins every year. He just couldn't win the big game, like against Wisconsin in the championship game. So I mean, people forget that, they don't know that, and generally when somebody comments something like that, I just assume they're 12. So.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
All right, let's get you a fun question here. So every beat writer we have asked this so far, and we are coming up on our last week, which is both sad and exciting at the same time because it means football's close.
Yes.
What is the best pizza on or around Nebraska's campus?
I mean, if I say anything outside of Valentino's, I think that's like a curse against Nebraska. You know what? I don't really know. I'll be honest with you. And I know that's bad because I never was on campus, and I don't want to say one and ruin everybody else, because usually when I go out there, I'm of the age where like I'm eating like all you can eat sushi and like steak and, going out to like Brazilian meat restaurants. Like, I mean, I don't have time to like just pick up pizza. Although I will say that breakfast pizza in the morning, it might be like probably the best out there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. See, Rob is perfect. We got to bring him on like 10 more times.
Casey's breakfast pizza, I think that's what it's called.
Ooh. I'm sold.
Yeah.
I'm going to Nebraska soon.
Yeah. It's good. It's like eggs and sausage, and I admittedly never had one until like a couple of years ago, and now I'm just like, bro, what was I missing? Especially after and this year, CU is a night game.
Nice.
It's gonna be a long night if we lose that one. But
that's where you cash in on all the pizza you can get. No, you guys are winning. Absolutely.
Yeah, we are gonna win that
celebratory
game.
Pizza.
5-score win. 5-score win.
Hell yes.
Bookmark me, bitches.
We can only hope. No, what we'll do is we'll clip that one and we'll tweet it at all the Barstool CU things, and we'll just watch. I would not do that to you. I'm sorry, I even said it.
Well, first of all, so actually, I'm glad. I'm actually not a huge Barstools fan, but I'm not going to get into that whole thing. But I am wearing a Barstool shirt tonight. It's Husker Sports. It is Husker Strong, and it essentially is a shirt from that Barstool sold and gave the money, all the proceeds to after the tornadoes that ripped through Omaha when I was out there for the spring game. So that's pretty cool. And Will Compton's there, and he's a good enough guy. So yeah, you can retweet Will Compton after we beat Colorado.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go, Rob. Before
he's
we
also a former Raider, so
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
You keep him around a little bit.
Yeah.
Before we let you get out of here for the evening, let our listeners know where they can find you and what you guys are working on here over the next couple weeks heading into the season.
Well, we're actually got a couple cool things going on, and I know a lot of the guys here listening may not care, but one of the cool developments that we have, we're part of the Hurrdat Sports Network, as well as we were on Character Chronicles 2 now, part of their website with all of our YouTube content. We may do the occasional blog here and there, but one of the things that we've really been working on is, as you know, Nebraska has some great women's sports programs, and so we've brought on at Abby something on Twitter. Abby is a good friend of the program, a good friend of mine, and she's going to start doing a show with me. Some of it's going to be to educate me on some of the women's sports and what's going on with that recruiting. So we will be bringing that up. That's at Go Big Redcast on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of those platforms. Same thing at Go Big Redcast. You can find me at Go Big Redcast Rob or Redcast Rob, or the Redcast Rob, Ohio State fan. I have it on Twitter. I am the Redcast Rob, and so you can find us there. We're just looking forward to really just talking Husker football, and we do a short preview of every game that we have coming up. We try not to go too in depth. We try to talk more about what Nebraska can do to win, not what the other team can do to beat us. And so that's who we are. We've been doing it now for 7 or 8 years. I think 8th season we're starting this year, which is crazy.
Nice.
And this is going to be our first winning season, and we're looking forward to it. And we've always, and again, now tonight I was a little bit more stats and everything like that. On that, when we're on the Redcast, they spend more time telling me to shut up, and I just drink all the Kool-Aid. So that's kind of where it's at. Yeah.
Well, listen, man, we really appreciate you making some time for this evening. I can't talk. I've been awake for 14 hours. Oh, wait, I can't even do math. How long have I been awake for? I don't fucking know.
It's 10 o'clock your time.
I've been awake for like 17 hours. I woke up at 5 today because I'm a psychopath. I know we've had a ton of fun doing these preview shows, but this was probably the most entertained that I've been during doing one. I had a blast tonight, man. This was a lot of fun. And 100%, we're bookmarking it now. If the Huskers are 7-0 going into Columbus, we're bringing you back on, and we're going to have a Clinton versus Rob battle royale.
I'll tell you what, do it if we're 6-1. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Let's do it.
That's fair.
It's still going to be a big game. I don't even know if that's a night game or a day game or when that game is. They'll probably make it like the 10 a.m. game or something here in Colorado.
Fox's big noon clusterfuck is going to
off. Yeah.
The thing nobody asked for.
I have to say that's impressive. That was your first fuck of the night.
Mine
too.
Listen, it's a regular part of my vocabulary, and it's probably a bad thing.
Yeah,
I'm known for it at work. That's not you don't want to be known as the F-bomb guy at work, but that's me.
I am too, but I use it in so many passionate ways that it's hard to ignore it.
It's an adjective. Just
it really is.
That's fucking cool.
It's an adjective, it's a noun, it's a pronoun, it's a verb. It's a
versatile word.
It's a surname. It's a country. I mean, you put it in there, man.
It can be a title. You can make it a proper noun if you want.
Yep, exactly. I can.
Oh, Lord.
I'm gonna write a book on this. All right, before we'll stop it at that before we go any more off the rails. I love it. Here we go. We got a podcast crossover and a book on the F word coming to you live here soon. We're almost done with these, y'all. We got 3 more next week. We got Michigan State, Michigan, and Penn State. And then college fantasy on Thursday next week. So we got another full week for y'all next week. Thank you, everyone, once again for humoring us this evening, joining us. We will catch you all next week. Everyone have a great weekend.